Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, factions fighting over control of the International Pentecostal Holiness Church continue to battle it out in the media. One faction is part of the establishment of the new party of former Action SA politician Abel Dawo's United Africans Transformation, but the other faction is not going to let them flourish. They want to set the record straight. eNCA's reporter Pule Letshwiti-Jones has more on the story and joins us with the very latest. Good morning, Pule. So the other faction doesn't want this to go ahead. They want to set the record straight. What exactly do they want to share with us?
Definitely, we know about the three factions that have actually existed here. One, of course, is the said to be the Jerusalem group. We know about the Leonard group, or faction rather, from the Zirbekom area. Then we know about the Tepemudise faction from the East Rand. And finally here we're going to try to get answers as to who is actually the real church, because there's also a court case pending on that matter. But you're right to say, you know, there's been, of course, internal challenges within the church's internal ranks, where many have said that it's a wrangle for power and positions as well within the church as well, of course, being the International Pentecostal Holiness Church. And one faction from the church as well says, look, we want to make the record straight and clear the record to say that we are not part of this political organization. In fact, they are saying that they've been fighting against also some of those police officials who they allege are working with some of the factions to try and wrongfully prosecute them and, of course, tarnish their reputation. But for more on this reaction, let's speak to Mr. Vusi Indala, who is, of course, the spokesperson from the Jerusalem IPHC. Thank you very much for joining us, Priest. Let's start off with maybe clarity for the viewers as well. These three groupings. And, of course, you've said that you want to set the record straight. Sure. Who is the real church? We are the real church. As it were, in 2016, when the church actually started to split, yes, it was very clear that the church is us, because Tsepiso at the time then formed his faction, left the church to form this faction. He was with his brother. And a year later or so, then Leonard Modise started his own faction of the church. So we remained the church. We are the church. I mean, those issues, as we speak, are before the courts. In less than 11 days, on the 13th of February, the leadership trial starts, as it were. The court set aside about 3 weeks for this matter to be heard. But we remain resolute that we are the church, and those matters will be ventilated, will prove that indeed what we've been saying all these years, that we are the church, we are indeed the church. Yes. And of course, you say that you are indeed the church, but there's also the accusations about the political party which has been formed, of course, alongside the former Action SA leader Abel Dawo, who was in Tshwane, rather. Yes. What are you saying about that? What are you saying about now the church's name being dragged and affiliated to a newly established political organization? Look, that's the reason why we have this media briefing in the next 20 minutes or so. So we'll address all those allegations, we'll set the record straight, we'll clear the air, and we'll clarify the issues as to why the church is implicated in the involvement of the formation of Dawo's party, the United Africans Transformation. So I think the detail will be given in the media briefing. Suffice to say that it's not illegal or unethical for any church in South Africa to have its own political formations. ATM, for example, it's a political party that arose out of a church sort of formation. And then you have the leader of UDM, of ACDP, Honorable Kenneth Meshwe. So the fact that religion is involved in political matters is not illegal or unethical, but in our case, we are not involved in the formation of a UAT. We'll clarify that, and we'll also detail as to why there seemed to be an involvement, because UAT works with Dawo Project. Dawo Project, it's a charitable program or cause that the church collaborates with the MS Foundation, which pursues that cause. So we've been working with MS Foundation since 2019, and therefore that association
is very close. Now, that UAT, they will explain themselves, because this briefing is a joint media briefing. They will explain themselves why did they align themselves with our project, which is the project of MS Foundation, what interest they derive from it, and why they follow them wherever they are going. And that's where we come in, basically, because that our project, we've been working with MS Foundation since 2019. By virtue of Abel Tau following or working with our project, it doesn't mean as a church we are working with Tau and we have involvement in the formation of this party.
Are you not worried about the reputation and safety of the church? I mean, clearly now we see that these groupings continue to exist, men of cloth actually at the center of wrangling for power and positions in the church, but you also have congregants who just want to come to church and, praise and find it as a place of, serving and worshipping. But the center of it all, we have all these internal problems which continue to persist.
Look, we've been worried for the last 7 years, and we've attempted in many ways to try to ensure that at least this matter, because Tepiso and Leonard took it to court for them to be declared as the leader of the church. I mean, they've been very slow. We've said it many times that they appear to be happy and comfortable with the status quo. And we tried hard with our legal team to make sure that this case at least doesn't stall. It gets ahead quickly, so that the very same question you are asking are addressed. We are very happy where we are right now, because in less than 11 days the matter will be heard, and hopefully in the next month or two, and the judgment will be out, and then we'll see where we go, and then it will settle the matter. We've been worried for the last 7 years. I mean, people have lost their lives in this wrangle.
And I mean, I'm asking because when we got in here, we saw like there's a sense of security personnel who are protecting this building as well. Yes. And now you're going into this court case. Don't you think that if you emerge victorious and the judgment or order goes in your direction, there will still be those who try to target the church? I mean, you once spoke about how there were certain police officials who were targeting individuals within your grouping as well, the Jerusalem IPHC.
Yes. Look, the security you see around us basically is on the basis or on the back of those concerns we've had about the collaborations of some members of the factions and the police. I mean, we had a biggest march that none of the churches in the history of South African churches have ever had. We complained to the Minister of Police, Minister Peggy. Nothing came out of it. We had that march. We presented a memorandum. Nothing came out of it. What must we do? So we're protecting ourselves, because clearly the cluster of security, the police, the law enforcement agencies are not listening to us. Hence, you see this kind of security around us. We've said it, in actual fact, in our last briefing, I think early last year, to say we will never complain about it. We'll see ourselves, how we protect ourselves and how our safety is preserved.
Yes, so there are concerns around safety.
Yes, correct. There are concerns. I mean, we've said it a number of times that our spiritual leader is targeted, is attacked. I mean, there was an attempt, even a rifle was discharged. Unfortunately, he was not there, but his family was there. I mean, we can say about a lot of things. But the memorandum that we handed to the police had those concerns, but nothing came out of it.
Mr. Ndala, thank you very much. I guess we'll join you in the press briefing.
Thank you so much.
All right, for no, that was, of course, Vusi Ndala from the Jerusalem IPHC group of church as well, who will be briefing the media just regarding some of those, allegations that have been leveled against the church, and, of course, that element of them having to be affiliated to a newly politically established organization as well by the former Tshwane leader of Action SA, Mr. Abel Tau.